Welcome to welcome to Imperial Advisor episode 30, big 3-0.
Sure.
Um, we're back and we've got a full pack of cards to review, which is very exciting. And also a Grand Kotai to discuss. So, we're coming in doing some overtime, doing consecutive weeks because we've experienced the pain in the past of trying to do two pack reviews in a single show, and I don't think anyone needs to see that again as we deliriously talk about cards for 3 hours straight. Who knows what we're saying about the last hour? So yeah, we're gonna dive straight in. I think there's some Seattle chat. I mean, I was at a stag do over the weekend, and I know Baz was also there, so I don't know how much you guys were following the show. I know Baz has his MetaCheck article up, so he's obviously following it somewhat. Baz, what did you take from the Grand Kotai?
Well, the pincers are back in control again, right? Crab Scorpion final, just as it should be.
So just looking at some of the overall stats, we had 65 players in total, which is, I mean, we talked about low turnout, particularly in some of the US events, inside quite big, quite expensive conventions, but it seems especially at a Grand Kotai level, that's maybe a little bit disappointing. Really nice spread of clans though, which is good to see.
So surprising to see the Scorpion quite low.
Yeah.
So, like highest clan number was 11, and Scorpion were sitting at 7, matched with Unicorn. So that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. So just looking at some of the results from day one, 5 players made the cut: 2 Phoenix, a Lion, a Dragon, and a Crab. And do we have a day 2 result? Oh, so I get getting mixed up. So there was just one day of qualification.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then so obviously a lot of challengers then. So
because it's the Grand Kodai, you've got double the number of normal challengers and double the number of Padamotos as well.
But so usually, Birmingham, for example, there was 2 days of Swiss. That wasn't the case here.
Exactly, yeah. So there are provision for a 1-day qualifying Grand Kotai, but to balance it out, what they do is they double the number of Hadamotos on that day and the number of challengers. So you actually get the exact same numbers at the end of it.
Cool. So we're seeing lots of Phoenix, Crab doing really well as well, obviously. Kind of a real, and then Scorpion kind of coming through the bracket. We see a few familiar names of people like Kingsley showing up again. What were your sort of takeaways from the results aside from the return of the pincer dominance?
Well, for me, I think a lot of it's to do with matchups. There was people on the Discord channel obviously were following Kingsley's games with great attention. Because we'd already seen the 2 dragon wins before. Now he got knocked out by one of the Scorpion players in the end, and I think there was some minor mistakes he'd made. I think he'd played a cloud at the wrong time, or didn't assassinate something, or something really small like that. That on reflection he kind of saw an out for afterwards. So that could have gone a different way. Then he would have been facing into a Crab. Crab actually can be quite a difficult matchup for Dragon as well. And I think up until that point, he'd kind of dodged it. But anything could have happened with any of the matchups. I think it was interesting to see that the player who actually did win out on the end was one of the challengers. He wasn't one of the players who'd kind of come in on top, which I like to see, I have to admit. It doesn't always happen. Typically, in a lot of the tournaments, you see that the top player out of the bracket just goes through the day 2 undefeated and then wins out in the end, but not so in this case. Not sure what else to take from it. Darren did point out in the comments that we have here that Crab and Scorpion only lost to Crab and Scorpion in the cut. I think we've kind of seen that pattern before, and I'm sure we'll see it again.
Justin, any thoughts from you? And seeing I don't know if you had a chance to get a look at any of the Phoenix decks. Obviously, Phoenix have had a better showing this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to see. I've only seen one of the decks. That was the semi-final deck. That was Mikkel's, I think, and it was Dishonor. So that's the second time now that Phoenix Dishonor has done quite well in a Kote at a Kote level event. So it would seem that there are two distinct Phoenix archetypes that are viable right now, which is kind of great. So. Yeah, so there's a lot there's obviously a lot for Phoenix to build on with the upcoming cycle. So looking forward to seeing what comes of that.
Yep. And Owen, glad to see Crab back on top.
Always. Main thing I take away from this one is that they're going to need to be savvier or more granular about how they hand out grand quotas. That a grand quota may be a thing of if you hit a certain threshold of attendance, because when you've got a kind of a 65 player event that has to then qualify 19 people for it, it's not the best in terms of, wow, I got a ton more for going to this event because no one else went to this event, which is a little bit odd. So definitely I think they need to look at, next year maybe there's going to be like, okay, well, if you've got 100 players, you're up to 150 players, up to 200 players, you're a Kodai. If you're over that, you're a Grand Kodai. And be a little more dynamic about which price support gets shipped out. I don't know. They have to have a think about it, certainly, because when you look at this being a Grand Kodai and we look at Madrid being a Kodai, you're kind of like, okay, something is off here. Not sure what, but something is off here.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's the, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm not like saying, this is dreadful, but it's just you have to be more flexible about how you handle it.
Yeah,
so that's just the way it goes.
And people have talked about it before. There seems to be a couple of blockers in getting the numbers out for the US events. And we're not here to take the piss out of US events. We want those US events to be big, and we want them to be prestigious. So, hopefully whatever issues are happening, FFG and Cascade will be able to look at it, make whatever modifications they need, and next season we'll see some really big US tournaments.
Yep. Okay, so any other takeaways from the Settle event, or do we want to?
This is the second last event in this format. There is one more event, the LA Kodai in July. And then after that, the Houston Kodai will have Breath of the Kami legal. And then after that, the next major event is Gen Con, which will have the first 4 packs, I believe, legal. So, that's going to be, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So it means that whatever takeaways we have from this event, there's going to be a new meta in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Which is great.
So let's get stuck in, and we're going to run through the cards in their sequential order. We've got, with people pointing for a couple of days, it's already been up, but there is a full pack review and rundown on the website. So that's totally worth checking it out, and we'll just be basically reading that and pretending these are all our own original thoughts. Even though I think this time, Baz, you had quite a lot of help from the other guys.
Yeah. This was the full team. Yeah, we even got John. We even got John involved, who is becoming more and more an official rather than honorary member of Imperial Advisor, despite his best efforts.
Yeah, he always gets sucked in to sign up for things. Cool. All right, so let's kick it off with Breath of the Kami. So, first up, let's start with the new line Strongholds. So we've got. I think that's wrong. Okay, Hisu Mori Toride. It's a fort with +2 Stronghold Strength, reaction after you win a military conflict by 5 or more skill. Buy the Stronghold and sacrifice a friendly Bushi character. You may declare an additional military conflict this phase. With 11 honor, 7 fate, and 9 influence. So, Owen, what are your thoughts on this? Is this one of the first real sort of game-changing Strongholds we've seen in terms of how it's really going to sort of, it looks like, speed up the game and push sort of blitz deck types that we maybe haven't seen at this level before?
Yeah, it's a very interesting box. We're looking at this Lion Stronghold is clearly judged to be a slightly more powerful effect than the existing Lion Stronghold, which is very much plug and play. I'm attacking RAR, I get more military strength. RAR, I pretty much auto win my military challenge, which is a good strong effect because it's dropped a point of honor and it's dropped a point of influence for deck building. So that's interesting. When we look at the effect, it's pretty huge. Getting an extra military challenge we know was assessed as being incredibly strong because there was rumors that for a while Unicorn had a way of doing it and it was seen as just too strong. So to have it put back in the game in whatever format is a big deal. Now, it's got some stringent conditions. You've got to win your military conflict by 5 or more skill. You've got to pay the Stronghold and then have a Bushi to sacrifice. So you presumably, I think with this Stronghold, what you end up doing is often doing politics first, then doing your military challenge, going all in on that military challenge, and winning with basically winning that challenge and then going grand. I declare an additional military conflict this phase. In I go again. I can see this one playing with probably a crab splash for a couple of reasons. We'll talk about some of the crab boost cards, just lots of force pumps about a way to get 5 over, or you could play Unicorn and play some of the movement cards and just try and get extra guys into the conflict to make sure you win by 5. It's interesting. Potentially, if this deck coheses into some sort of horrible blitz deck, if you have a slow start against Lion, you could be in a lot of trouble. But we'll see. It's very interesting. It is an expensive ability. It's a difficult ability because you've got to go all in on winning that first military challenge and still have stuff left over to attack. So that's tricky. But it's a very interesting box and potentially really strong. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Justin, what's your thoughts on how hard is it going to be to activate that ability and how powerful do you see this being?
Yeah, it's a really tough one, to be honest. I mean, winning a conflict by 5 or more is not a given by any stretch of the imagination, especially when you've got you've got clans like Crab out there who will out-military you by default, and then they will have their Stronghold on top of that. So where I see this Stronghold making hay is really in an environment where you have Scorpion as a dominant force, potentially political decks as a dominant force, Dishonor, Honor decks that just do not have a lot of ways to oppose you militarily or to contest militarily. And Lion absolutely have the cards to trigger this. I mean, you've got Way of the Lion, you've got Legion of One, you've got Banzai. As Owen was saying, there's a card in the next pack. My God, we'll have an awful lot to say about, called Spreading the Darkness, which again can contribute to this. The kind of major concern for me, if I were looking at this as a player, is that when you go in for your first military conflict, it really does encourage you to overplay your hand. So there's going to be quite a lot of skill in judging when to push an opponent, or when to go for triggering this and when to settle for not. So I think it's quite a bit more nuanced, or potentially a lot more nuanced than straightforward race across the board, blitz, rah, rah, rah. Arguably the worst outcome is that this does turn into a blitz, rah, rah, rah deck where you have a deck that is nothing but force pumps and it doesn't really plan to contest its own political conflict. It just wants to race across and batter your face with huge military pumps. That would be worrying.
Sounds like sort of deck Andy would absolutely love, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh God, yeah. I mean, and I think Andy would love the rumored Unicorn version of this even more. But yeah, it's interesting. I'd be hesitant to say that it's super right now, but I would also say that if this does turn out to be regularly achievable, then this is a really, really meta-defining card. You will simply have to be able to contest military conflicts very, very strongly, or you run the risk of simply getting run down in 2 turns by the Stronghold. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one to see. To see exactly how this deck shakes out, and whether we see we may see blitz versions, we may see slightly more measured mid-game versions, but it certainly has the potential to really change the face of the metagame.
And so, Baz, what are the sort of key sort of interactions or combos we expect to see this? I saw something talk about how waning hostilities may be an option to counter this as a way of turning it off. I saw Hida was talking about he'd love to try and blackmail people to sacrifice people. Is there any sort of things we really need to be watching for? I mean, I saw some people talk about how this is going to really start making the water ring really valuable in the Lion matchup.
Yeah, of course, because with the water ring you can straighten your guy if you've got your extra conflict and a bunch of things like that. So I mean, there's a couple of options that they're talking about there, looking from the other side. What happens if this becomes a dominant power? What options are there to kind of shut it down? And that's really a tricky one, because I'm not sure you're really ready to play waning hostilities just for one matchup. But if we get to that case, we have those options. Of more interest to me are the ones where Lion can proactively use it. So the Kitsu Spirit Caller was one of the people I mentioned already, where if you sacrifice a character with the Stronghold after Kitsu Spirit Calling them in, they will go to the discard pile, and then when the Spirit Caller check comes into play, they'll already be gone, so they won't be going back into the deck, which has some fun stuff you can do with it. It means you can play them again in the same turn, or have them for next turn. Sashimono obviously is a good way to keep your big bruiser ready for the next military conflict, because there's a potential of 3 military conflicts. You can get a lot more use out of it. I really, really like the idea of the Vengeful Oathkeeper. I know when playing this card initially, I always had trouble where if the military attack that I lost was the last conflict, then I didn't get to attack with the Vengeful Oathkeeper. Or, sometimes I'd attack first with military, then defend military, and I get my Vengeful Oathkeeper for political conflict, which wasn't as great. But with the extra military conflict here, which is always going to be the last conflict, regardless, that means the Vengeful Oathkeeper is always going to be coming in with that two military, which I think is pretty good. For me, the important factor out of this is the Lion will always have the last attack. They will always have the last laugh, as it were. So you have to be ready for that. Winning a conflict by 5, it's something that they can't rely on every time. But if anyone can do it, the Lion are going to be able to do it. And they can do it in the defense, although obviously you really want to be winning by 5 on the attack, so you'll get the province as well. But yeah, I think that potential of having that extra attack is going to factor into the decisions that many opponents make when they're playing against it, which will always be interesting.
Be interesting to see it with captive audience as well, though that 9 influence hurts a bit there.
Yeah, free captive audience. Boom.
Yeah. Well, you get a little bit more because they're keeper, right? But yeah, it's like captive audience. Woo.
All right, so I think a card that's going to be really interesting to watch in the future. I'm sure it's a card we'll be discussing again as we go through and look at some of the interactions with other cards. But next up, we've got Sacred Sanctuary, a dragon province, which is an air province with 2 strength. It's a temple reaction. After an attack is declared at this province, choose a monk character you control, ready that character. Until the end of the conflict, the character cannot be bound by opponent's card effects or as a result of conflict resolution. So Baz, the monk deck has been sort of lurking in the background, waiting for its time to explode in a bowl of fists and fury. Where do you think this sits with that?
So it's definitely a good card. The slot it's taking up is the air one. So currently Dragon would drop the Manicured Garden slot. I mean, Manicured is a fantastic province, but yeah, I could definitely see this fitting into a monk deck. Now the question is, what are you getting out of it? You're getting to straighten your monk assuming you have a monk. If they were bowed, so not necessarily there. When they are defending, they can't be bowed, and then after the conflict resolves, they'll be straightened again, which is pretty fantastic. Like essentially, you're getting a mountain does not fall along with a water ring trigger for yourself. That's a lot of bonus, a lot of benefit. At the moment, how much you're really getting out of it though. A lot of the monks currently are actually quite small. The bigger ones for Dragon are the Ascetic Visionary and Tadakatsu. And Kazue. Kazue being another option as well. But there are like a lot of it are coming in from smaller monks, like the Tattooed Wanderer, Togashi Initiate, Togashi Mendicant. So a small character like that really isn't getting as much benefit out of it as you'd like. So we're really hoping for a few more big monks further down the line to kind of make that a little bit more relevant. And the reason that's important is because you're looking at 2 province strength. 2 is very, very low. And it is especially risky early if you haven't made a monk character. So basically it ends up being a blank 2 province strength province. So I mean, I know Houston is coming up soon. I'm not expecting it to feature in any of the Dragon decks in Houston because I don't really think that they'll have enough monks to be able to pull it off. But a few more, and presumably within this cycle, I think it'll be a really good province. I look forward to it.
Justin, any thoughts on Sacred Sanctuary?
No, I really like the design. It's kind of what I think provinces should probably be a bit more like. The province strength of 2 is very, very low, very, very low. But the effect in a mid game in a mid game situation where you have a built up powerful monk, like the effect is really, 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 really huge. I mean, you've got the ideal situation where you're the first player, you go across with your big monk, you break a province, and then your opponent walks into the Sacred Sanctuary, and your giant monk gets up in and batters them, and then goes and batters them again in your following conflict. So it's a province that has huge impact in the mid game, and it would be really nice to see maybe a few more of those that were that were good enough quality to play, and this potentially could be like straightening, not bowing from resolution, and being immune to bow during that conflict. That's a really powerful package. So I don't know. I love the flavor. I love the kind of the power level. I love the overall design and where the stage of the game this is kind of pitched at. So yeah, like I thoroughly like the card. Whether it's really genuinely good enough to make it a tournament play, I'm really not sure. But but this is kind of hope. This is what I would like to see the game be more like, I have to say.
All right. Let's move on to demonstrating excellence. So this is a 3-strength province, and it is an air province, and it gets +2 strength when you have the air roll, which I think that's Crane of the air roll. Yep. Yeah. Interrupt when this province is broken, gain a fate, and draw a card. So Owen, what are your thoughts? It is a when province broken type of province, but obviously quite a good benefit.
Yeah. I hate the first part of the design of this. This air province getting extra strength when you have the air roll, but you get the effect of the province when it breaks, is complete cross purposes. And it being 5 strength, like one of the things I'm not sure was fully appreciated when the game was initially, the first cycle was being playtested, was the idea of provinces being farmed by some decks, where a deck will just go, you mean I can safely attack into that and nothing bad happens? It's not a shameful display or anything like that. I can just attack in and I get my ring if I win. Cool, I'll just go into that one then. I'm not interested in actually breaking your provinces. I'm just trying to get board position from claiming rings. And a province like that is just a magnet for that sort of stuff. So it's ironically sort of worse in an air roll. So you're more likely, if you want that to trigger, you're more likely to run in a clan that isn't heir. So, yeah, it's weird. I don't know if that's the plan. I really do not. The other issue with it is that it does basically the other two heir provinces staple together just twice. So if you're okay with all of your provinces getting broken, yeah, this is fine. This is grand. But on the other hand, if you actually are actually planning on defending a bit, you're going to prefer the one that, hey, might pay off more than once or will give you a more immediate benefit. Like, one of the big advantages of flipping up Manicured or Fertile is, hey, you get that card or that fate immediately, and you can use it immediately, which could be important if you're trying to keep provinces alive. This one will probably see play in some of the more aggressive decks. I don't know, does Lion have a competitive air slot really? Is that what normally goes out? But I think, because Art of War is water, public, the public thing is normally fire, or public form is earth. Feast and Famine is fire. Shameful or Pilgrimage is void, and then they can slot this in as another province is going to blow up the second you attack it. So yeah, maybe Lion will try it out as kind of a, yeah, you're just going to keep breaking my provinces. That's cool. I'm going to get stuff. I'm going to get stuff for that happening. So yeah, maybe I don't like the extra province when it matches the role. I don't like it as an idea because they're provinces that you want to break. So just weird.
Just some of your thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. Quite a lot actually, bizarrely. Okay, so one of the things from the previews that we've seen so far, there is really evident power creep in the cards that have been released. Like, some of the cards are just significantly, vastly more powerful than cards have been released before. And I think there is a concerted effort to speed the game, to make the game faster. Or at least, if there's not a concerted effort, I think that's where the game is headed anyway. Things are just going to get much, much more aggressive. And I think one of the strange outcomes of this is that province strength, which really hasn't been important this far, does become considerably more important, because the blitz decks, if we're right and blitz decks are coming into the game, then blitz decks are going to be very, very conflict card intensive, and the extra 1 or 2 points of province strength that may or may not result in a broken province are going to be huge in terms of running blitz decks out of resources and putting them under honor pressure before you get blown out of before your stronghold gets taken. So from that point of view, there's so a card like this is really kind of interesting, because if you are a blitz deck, this is if you were a blitz deck and you were not an air roll, this is absolutely the kind of province you want to play, because you really don't care about your provinces getting taken. You are aiming to win the game as fast as possible, and gaining a fate and drawing a card for free is absolutely going to help that. If you're a defensive deck, this is, I don't know, 5 province strength maybe enough to make it a bit more tempting over a 4 province strength province like Manicured Garden or Fertile Fields. I'm not sure yet, because we don't have enough information. But the province strength could be significant. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be down on the plus province strength thing just yet. But that said, Owen's points do absolutely hold. Farmable provinces have been they're a curse. The last thing you want is a farmable province for your opponent, because it gives them so many options, especially when there are so many incredibly destructive provinces that they could be running into, and to give them, a couple of turns to establish some more advantage on board in relative safety is really a big deal. So yeah, it's kind of this quite a tangent, but strength, I think, could be becoming a great deal more important in the game as we go forward and see more cards in the cycle. So I wouldn't necessarily dismiss province strength out of hand, just for the time being.
Okay, let's move on to the third tower guard. Maybe Baz, you can open up, and then we'll hand over to Owen to give a view on this Crab Bushi. It's a 1/1 for 1 with 0 glory and a Bushi. The character gets +2 military when you've claimed earth or water rings? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm not too much of a fan. The cheap characters like this from the Dynasty side haven't often proven their worth. Having to actually pay for this character loses you a bit of early speed, essentially, that often surrenders you that fate for passing first, which we've seen again and again is crucially important. So when you're actually making a character, you're looking to get something out of it. Now, Crab can make more use of cheap characters than many. The numerous sacrifice effects that they have are there, but when the Eager Scout doesn't get played, you have to question, how much you're getting out of a one-cost character. The 1/1 is pretty flexible. It means that they can defend in either conflict, battle Stronghold, and get that extra point off the Stronghold. And when they do have one of the two rings in question, so which are they? They're Earth and Water. They'll get a +2. So when you do have it, it's actually a really good character. It's a 3/1 for 1 fate, which is definitely worth it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Eoin can shed a little bit more light on it. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, Owen, your view?
So, Crab have the least one-cost Dynasty characters of anybody. We, in fact, have 2 other one-cost Dynasty characters. We have the Hida Defender, who is a 1/1 with 1 glory, who basically pumps other characters in the same conflict by the number of holdings you have. And you have the Kyle Envoy. Now, Kyle Envoy is 1/0, and basically has sincerity and courtesy. So when it leaves play, you draw a card and gain fate. So 2 nice characters. All right. The problem with Kyle Envoy is Kyle Envoy is marvelous and will always be played. The problem is it's 0 politics. And Crab don't really need a huge amount of extra help in military most of the time, but we do struggle putting together politics attacks. So often what happens is to put together a token politics ring, we will send a cheap character, often with just 1 politics, over to contest. And one of the problems with that is if you can't send the Kyle Envoy, because, well, you can't send them, but they have no strength, so they're not going to win you the ring. You can send the Heated Defender, but they're 1 glory. So if the other player just dishonors them, well, they're going to bounce and you're not going to get the ring. The ring's going to pop back to the unclaimed pile. So this, as a result, the 3rd Tower Guard is the most flexible of the 1-drops. Now, in the current format, everyone is trying to pass first to get that 1 extra little fate from passing first, because they're going to play conflict characters, they're going to play expensive events, they're going to have tons of stuff to play outside the face. They want a big fate pool. So it's often like they'll buy 1 guy and then they're going to pass immediately. Having lots of cheap 1 and 2 cost characters is good in that situation. When your opponent aggressively passes and you go, okay, well, I can either be really sad and pass as well, or I can put out 2 extra 1-cost personalities and actually start to widen out my board a bit to deal with the fact that he's probably got a fate worse than that he's going to smack me in the face with. So that's valuable. Crab gets a lot of value from cheap characters that they can sacrifice to effects. So having cheap options is good. And if you find the Heated Defender a bit awkward to use, and Heated Defender is a bit awkward to use because she needs to defend with somebody else to use her ability, this is a good option. You will occasionally, this 3rd Tower Guard will occasionally be 3 military as well, which is nice. That's an optional extra for me on it. If it happens, awesome. If it doesn't, well. The key thing is, Crab are often going for Earth early because we're currently Keeper of Earth, and Water is a high priority pick anyway. So sometimes you're like, well, if I go for Water on this first conflict, my opponent's in trouble. Cool. I'll go Politics Water maybe to deny water to them if they don't stop me, or I'll go Military Earth, and then I'll have this 3rd Tower Guard at home to defend the Earth Ring. So yeah, I like her a lot. I can see people going for a slightly cheaper Dynasty if we get a couple more powerful sacrifice effects and kind of Crab go a bit wider then. As a result, I think that'd be a really interesting direction for Crab to go in. So yeah, I think she'll see play initially, and I think she'll see a lot more play later on if we get a couple more good things to sacrifice people for.
Okay. So we've then got Haruma Outpost. Maybe on you can keep on rolling with this one. It's a +2 strength
Absolutely.
holding. It's an outpost. When this card is in an unbroken province, it gains reaction. After an opponent declares a conflict against a province that doesn't have a holding in it, the opponent loses 1 honor. So, how does this feel? I know you're a fan of Crab Dishonor.
Yeah. It's interesting. The problem is this card is, in an ideal world, this is the only holding you have out. Or you have 2 copies of it out, but you'd be, very lucky if that happened. And you put this on a pilgrimage or something. So your opponent is stuck in a situation where, man, I've got to attack that 7 strength pilgrimage, and I've got to break it before anything happens. And if I attack anything else, I lose an honor. And 1 honor is a lot. That might happen. The problem is that a lot of Crab's other holdings, like Karada District and Iron Mine, you want to keep in play. And if they're out, your opponent can just attack them and not lose the honor. So it's a powerful enough effect, but it's tricky to trigger, and it doesn't play super well with the other holdings. I would say it will see a bit of play, but it's going to be difficult, even with rebuild, to make sure it's in the right province. This could be a tough one to use. Now, if you can get it out on a pilgrimage and sitting on top of a pilgrimage, and maybe you decide to play charge instead of Iron Mine due to the restricted list, yeah, maybe you can get something going there. We shall see. I like it as an idea, but it's been carefully play tested enough to make it not oppressive that I'm not sure it's auto I'll build a deck around. And irritatingly, Kaio Inventor does not combo with it. So we await the holding that Kaio Inventor actually plays ball with. So yeah.
Justin, have you any thoughts on the Haruma Outpost?
Yeah, not many. It just strikes me as the crab version of Phoenix's Magnificent Lighthouse, which is a card that looks like it should be fantastic, but in play just turns out to be not quite good enough and just a little awkward. Yeah, I think it's one of those cards that'll see play. People will try it out and play test it early, and then figure out that it's just not good enough, and it'll go into the binder, awaiting better days or something to combo with it. So yeah, it's really it's an interesting design. It's very, very cool, very, very flavorful, but I think it's ultimately going to fall short in terms of competitive play.
Does this card encourage crowd to play fewer other holdings? Is that sort of where that deck type might be going?
Well, you can play Imperial Slaughterhouse.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean sack holdings. Oh no, yeah, I suppose just like Owen's saying, like basically sack holdings that sack themselves as an action for an ability would be you could get some mileage out of them with this, but then that means not playing Iron Mine, not playing Karada, or it doesn't mean not playing them, but I don't know. Like I said, card slots are super, super valuable, and I just don't see this doing enough, consistently enough, to really make a dent in competitive lineups. But I could totally be wrong. So,
all right, Justin, how about the Foo Suey Disciple? It's a Crane character, 3 cost, 1 military, 2 politics with 2 glory. It's an Air Shigenja. And he has the action, the player that has the air ring in his claimed ring pool, choose an ordinary character he or she controls. You select one, honor or dishonor that character. What are your thoughts on the Foo Suey Disciple?
Yeah, it's an interesting card. So initially, the first thing I suppose to look at, the stats are super not good for a 3-cost character. 1/2 is not great. But I think they have probably built in the idea that this is automatically going to trigger on the first turn that it's in play, because the Crane player is going to start an air conflict. So with that in mind, it kind of worked. Yeah. So basically, I mean, as long as any player, either player has the air ring in their pool, this guy is active. So winning or losing a conflict is really makes no odds. And then you either get to honor one of your characters. If this is the only guy, then he's a 3/4 for 3, which is perfectly wonderful, with an additional ability. And on the other side of the board, depending on who you're playing, this ability could be fantastic against clans like Phoenix. It could be really, really not very good at all against clans like Crab. So he's very, very interesting, because depending on the matchup and depending on the dynamic, it makes the air ring either super desirable to win or really quite desirable to lose. So it's I mean, there are going to be air conflicts where both players are going to be desperately trying not to win. So that's an interesting new dynamic for the game. And he's a Shigenja as well, so that helps Crane. It's another Shigenja to add to their admittedly very, very middling lineup of other Shigenja. But like, this guy seems kind of playable. And if that's the case, then he does open up a few more options for Crane. They might have a viable shot at playing Cloud the Mine now, which they haven't really been able to do since the core set launched. So yeah, I think he's interesting, and I think he opens up some avenues for Crane. So yeah, I'll be very interested to see now if he does start appearing in decks.
Baz, any thoughts on the card from you?
I think he's directly comparable to a Sakosuki, who is 2 cost rather than 3, has the same military and politics. She is a courtier and a Shigenja rather than just a Shigenja, but her ability is a lot more limited. So after the Water Ring is claimed, to choose a scholar character and honor that character. So typically she honors up herself, and there are a couple of other characters in the Phoenix deck, but I'd say often she just honors herself and then doesn't do much else. Whereas on multiple turns, you will be able to activate the Disciple and kind of get more uses out of it. Is it worth that extra fate? I don't know. But yeah, it does look like a card that's been well tested. So we'll see where it fits in. I think it's very borderline, but it's definitely an interesting direction. And yeah, as a 3 cost Shigenja opens up some more Shigenja action for the Crane, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably actually the most important part of the card is actually the Shigenja trait. That's probably going to decide whether this sees play more than anything else.
All right. Next up, we have a card that we talked about last week, as it was our preview, the Matsu 7th Legion. Since you weren't here last week, maybe you can give your view on this guy. This army. I'll read it out quickly. So it's a 5-cost character with 7 military, zip, politics, Ushi, army, cavalry, and 2 glory. No attachments except weapon. And while it's attacking, each courtier cannot be declared as a defender.
Yeah, I mean the 7th Legion is what it is. It's a lot of beefy stats. No attachments except weapons, which is super relevant for Sashimono, among other things. But for this pack, along with a Stronghold, Sashimono is super relevant. And yeah, I think as you guys mentioned last time, the no courtiers, the defending when this character is declared as the attacker, doesn't help with all of the with the recursion that is kind of one of the Lions teams. I don't know. This large chunk of military, may serve a purpose in the line deck. It's very costly, but having this in your discard pile and being able just to drop it in with your Spirit Caller and then wave the line is 14 military. No matter what you think about the rest of the card, about its cost or anything else, being able to do that is pretty amazing. Especially because you'll have multiple military conflicts and you're looking just for something to sacrifice. So that alone may justify the inclusion of the 7th Legion. The Scorpion and Crane do love their courtiers. That trait is going to be super relevant in that particular matchup. So yeah, I could definitely see 1 or 2. I can understand the criticisms, and I know why a lot of people don't think this is a great card, especially when comparing it against some of the other options out there. But But yeah, I could definitely see this in line decks, and I do like it.
All right, let's jump on to Isawa Uona. It's a 2 fate, 2 zip, Shugenja Air, 1 glory. Reaction: after you play an air card during a conflict, choose a non-unique participating character by that character. Justin, do you want to have a go at that, and then Owen can follow up?
Oh yeah, she's ludicrous. Genuinely one of the most ludicrous characters we've seen in a long, long time. So yeah, I and Gordon straight in with the Walsh undersell. Man, you just don't pay any attention, do you? No, she is amazing. She is absolutely amazing. So the cards that you can compare her to straight off the bat are Miramoda's Fury and Lion's Pride Brawler, which are two of the most powerful cards in the game. So straight away, she is in really exalted company in terms of power level. 2 cost, she is incredibly cheap. 2 dash, not great stats for a 2 cost character, but given the power of her ability, that is entirely understandable. So yeah, so obviously air cards gain a huge amount of additional utility, and utility is just completely the wrong word. Gain a huge amount of power with Uona in the deck. So Phoenix play Cloud the Mind as standard, which is an air card. Most Phoenix decks play Benton Touch, or at least most aggressive military decks. Decks play 1 to 2 Benton's Touch. That could maybe go up to 3 with Uona, depending. There are several other cards. There are a couple of conflict characters that Phoenix have that are air. The Seeker of Knowledge and Kaido Kasori. There's Walking the Way is another air spell. So out of Cute and Isawa particularly, Uona is just a bowing machine. And the restriction of non-unique character is sometimes going to make her a little underwhelming. It'll sometimes make her worse, but by and large, she's going to completely dominate conflict maths when she's on the table, and an opponent is going to be doing everything they can to get rid of her as quickly as possible. So in addition, because she's a Shugenja, she doesn't need to be participating in the conflict, which is possibly the most overpowered thing. Yeah, which is it's another ridiculously powered thing on top of a ridiculously overpowered ability. So she can sit outside a conflict and just dominate a conflict from outside. Yeah, she's tremendously powerful. Honestly, she's Phoenix's best 2-drop. And yeah, I think that would have been Isawa Tsuki before now, but Uona eclipses Tsuki fairly completely, I think. Yeah, she's unbelievably powerful. Unbelievably powerful. She'll be a staple 3-of pretty much forever, or at least for the foreseeable future, or until a point where unique characters dominate the character lineups of all decks. She's amazing. So,
high praise. Owen, any thoughts?
Yeah, she's really nasty. You're going to hear about blowout games because of her. We're going to talk about a card later towards the end of this pack, Maze of Illusion. And if you high roll in the Maze of Illusion with her, wow, your opponent could just be, then he bet 2 of my guys, and I lost. You know, I definitely think you'll see some of that. She is great assassination target. I'll give you that. Great assassination target. Yeah, she's just like bowing is such a powerful effect, and this is basically bow as a rider to doing something. So you're doing something else at the same time. There's a 1-2 hit element to it that could just be like, oh, my soul, you know.
Yeah, like cloud your super good guy out of the conflict, bow your guy in the conflict.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, super good. Good.
Baz, let's give you a different Air Shugenja. We've got the Soshi Shadow Shaper. Say that 10 times quickly. Soshi Shadow Shaper. 2 cost, 1 military, 2 politics, 1 glory. A Shugenja with air and also the Shadow trait. I think it's the first time I've seen Shadow as a trait on its own.
It is.
Action during the conflict phase, lose 1 honor. choose a character with cost 2 or lower that has entered play from a player's hand this phase. Return that character to its owner's hand. So how powerful do you think that is, I guess, in the current environment where obviously people are playing a lot of conflict characters from hand? What's your take?
Well, the big thing about that is the fact that a lot of the characters people are playing at the moment, to an extent, are cheap. So, when you lose that honor and bounce it back to their hand, they always have the option of playing that one cost character again. So from that perspective, it's not a way of removing a character in so much as it's a way of denying your opponent a fate in exchange for one honor, which is a good deal for the Scorpion player. I think the greater consideration here is, whether it is actually worth the slot. Again, we're pushing further down the Shigenja line, whereas the Scorpion currently seem to prefer the courtier trait. I mean, they do have a number of Shigenja in their decks, largely to power Clyde the Bind, but apart from that, they're not getting much value out of Shigenja. That certainly might be something that changes. But right now, they're definitely going to value the courtier trait a little bit more. The other way of looking at it is how they can use it themselves, so bouncing their own characters. It does give you the option of dropping a meek informant, checking your opponent's hand, and then, after they've participated in political conflict, bouncing them back again, so you can check the hand again a second turn. Similarly, you can splash out a clan for stuff like Secret Knowledge, keep bouncing it back so you get the extra air conflicts. Uchi Wayfinder, which is kind of cool, lets you look at multiple different provinces for a cheap cost. And the Haruma Skirmisher, who only has covert for one turn, but if they're only ever around for one turn and then bounce back the hand and then come back the next turn, you're basically spending one fate and an honor to consistently have an extra military covert every time. So that's, those are a couple of kind of really cool ways of using it that I can see. So yeah, I can certainly see this edging its way into decks. I'm not sure it's going to be kind of a key cornerstone, but I think if you're going to be playing some of those cheap conflict characters anyway, that you might switch out one or two of the Shigenja you already have in the deck to get this extra utility.
Okay. Owen, any further thoughts on the Shadow Shaper?
I think she's really strong because you can use her actively yourself. If they get a Shigenja deck together with a lot of powerful Shigenja cards, I mean, you could be using this on your own Shrine Maiden. You could be using them on any of the cards that Daz already mentioned using it on, and just get a lot of value that way. She's also a tremendous control piece in that somebody could, for example, be going, okay, well, I've got 2 fate left and I really need this extra guy to declare a conflict, and play down the conflict characters like back into hand, and that's kind of huge. You can get around her, you can play around her by playing your character outside of the conflict phase. That's one thing you can do to prevent them bowing them, so you can play it in the draw phase, so she can't bounce them, which you might see, which is weird but true. Other than that, I think she's really, really strong, just because it's control, and it's control about permission about what to do stuff, and it's like, this is an answer that Scorpion have to cheap conflict characters, and it's not like anyone's accused Scorpion of being short in answers. And if you can get a Shigenja deck together that actually uses a lot of spells, you can play something like, well, splash Shrine Maiden and Phoenix and be like, okay, what does this do? Well, she pops out, draws me 2 cards, does a conflict, and then I bounce back and have her back again next turn. That's pretty nasty.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe, Owen, you can stick on with the Heartless Intimidator. This guy is a 3 fate, 1 military, 3 politics with 1 glory, and he is a courtier. Reaction: after an opponent loses 1 or more honor, discard the top card of that player's conflict deck, unlimited. So, how strong do you think that effect is of taking out conflict cards?
If this is the extent of it, it is junk. It's like, okay, after 30 honor point losses, I'll make you reshuffle your conflict deck and lose 5 honor. It's like it ain't gonna happen. You might if you had you'd have to have an entire deck full of characters that does this, and the amount of work you would need, because it doesn't even kill your opponent, it makes them lose 5 honor. If all you're doing is milling them, they're just like, then I'm gonna lose 5 honor and reshuffle. It's random. Might you get lucky and mill a good card off the top of their deck? Maybe. But you could also mill the crap card off the top of their deck, then they draw the card they actually wanted. You don't know. You have if Scorpion had a lot of ways to fiddle with what someone got to draw, look at the top 3 cards of the deck and rearrange it, maybe there'd be some value in it. But I mean, when I look at that stat line, Scorpion have such superb stat lines on their characters that paying 3 for a 1/3 that kind of sort of does something but doesn't really, that's a big ask. Hey, maybe there'll be a deck here later on. It feels like a nice concept that just, no, not worth it. And then it annoys people as well. It irrationally annoys people. So I don't know, maybe you're this guy out from a certain inducing rage, but you gotta keep remembering to use his trigger. So yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't think much of him. Don't think much of him at all. Small mill like that, whatever.
Any dissenting opinions? Any fans of the Heartless Intimidator? Justin shake his head.
No, I imagine Justin would be a big fan. I mean, the more spells his Scorpion opponent can play with this card, the better.
Absolutely. Please pseudo draw me cards. That would be awesome. Yeah, it's no Soshi Shadow Shaper. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's a card for the future.
Yeah, maybe. And honestly, I really hope it isn't, because mill decks are no fun to play against.
Well, mill in this environment isn't so bad. I mean, it's just an extra 5-point honor loss. So really, it would be a Scorpion Dishonored deck that sets up the mill as the final punch. So it's not that bad.
If you had 3 of them in play for the entire game, and you caused 10 points of honor loss to mill him for 30 cards, so he had to reshuffle and lose 5. I mean, you probably could have won another way. You probably could have done 1 or 2 more points of honor and finished the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, if only there was a way to force your opponent to draw extra cards. That'll never happen.
No, never.
All right. I think we discussed Shinjo Shono briefly previously, but let's return and visit our old unicorn friend. This is a unique card. It's a 4-coster with 4 military, 3 politics, 2 glory, Ushi Cavalry Commander with pride. Action while this character is participating in a conflict, if you control more participating characters than your opponent, each participating cavalry character you control gets +1/+1 until the end of the conflict. So Justin, what are your thoughts on Shinjo Shono?
Oh, he's superb. He's amazing. Unicorn, as we've remarked several times before, really lack quality top-end characters in their decks. And Shono is just everything you could want, really. Unicorn appeared to have a mechanic focus for outnumbering opponents in this cycle. And Shono both rewards that, or both it kind of empowers that mechanic and benefits from it. So, 4/3 stats for 4 are fine. They're nothing spectacular, but they're not terrible. 2 glory is pretty standard. Pride is the big thing. So this guy helps you win conflicts and then benefits from winning conflicts, making himself even bigger. So he's got a little bit of mini snowball built into him, which is never a bad thing. Putting the pressure on and forcing your opponent to spend more resources to deal with him potentially is always going to be good. And pumping every participating character. We have, he just is he is the figurehead of that entire archetype that we've seen so far. At any rate, yeah, he makes the archetype work, and yeah, just benefits from it. He's superb. He's great, really, really great. And I suppose the closest character you could probably compare him to is Honored General. And he is better than Honored General, and Honored General is already great. So, yeah, that just goes to show how good Shono is.
All right. Apologies to unicorns for calling Shinja Shono a she. Baz, what are your thoughts on? I did.
Okay.
I just realized I did. Baz, what are your thoughts on Shinja
Shono? No, not much more to add. I mean, it is largely just a big chunk of stats, and that's what Shono is. But I mean, it does so in a fantastic way. It does. I think this is the first card we've seen with what seems to be the new theme for Unicorn, which is the more participating characters than your opponent, which does kind of fit in with the existing Stronghold, because if you're ever in a scenario where you don't have more, you're able to move more characters in and then suddenly trigger all of your bonuses, and then you're back in action. So I do think that's nice. I like that what seems to be the new team for the Unicorn is something that's building on the existing mechanics that they already have in, which were largely around the move in rather than anything else. Yeah, love it. Looking forward to seeing how Unicorn do with it.
Okay. Next up, we've got the Shiotome Encampment. Action: if you've got it's a holding with +0 strength. If you've got a military ring in your claimed pool, choose a cavalry character. Ready that character. Owen, what are your thoughts?
Super good. This is the extra personality multiplier that Unicorn have very badly been needing. If you've got a military ring, if you've won your military conflict, either on the offense or defense, you can just ready your guy. And that means that your big guy does double duty. Pair holding you have, and that is stellar. This is something they have very badly needed, and I think they'll very strongly consider a crab splash at this point. I think they'll very strongly consider playing rebuild, and probably back it up with reprieve, and just maintain some board presence. And that is going to be massive for them. Absolutely massive. It can ready them during a conflict. It can ready them before a conflict. It's just it's superb. It is really the card they needed, and it's a bit overpowered, yes, but that's fine because they really badly need the help. And it requires the cavalry keyword, so it won't hit all their guys, but will hit the majority of their guys.
Mm-hmm. Justin Gordon's saying in chat that the elemental cycle is the Unicorn apology cycle. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that would be fair. I mean, I think it's also Unicorn players have suffered for a long time now, almost a year. They've been basically non-competitive. They've had some players who've made who've delivered quite kind of fairly extraordinary individual performances. Scoring getting 5 wins, 5 2s, and Kotes and stuff, and that really is quite an achievement with the card base that they have. And yeah, they are absolutely getting a huge boost. Like this card is stunning. Caught unawares, not that it was probably already a 3 of an Unicorn. It's absolutely a 3 of an Unicorn now, because it sets up your Shiotome encampments. And yeah, and like I said, we're one of the things to note about this entire cycle and the cards we've seen from it before is the really notable power creep.
Caught unaware. Captive audience?
Oh, what? Sorry, captive audience. I have a mental block whenever captive audience is involved. I immediately substitute caught unawares. I don't know why. But yes, captive audience. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, it's a huge power creep card. It's blatantly overpowered. It's so good. But Unicorn really need the help, and yeah, just bringing Unicorn up to par would just be fantastic. I'm honest to God thrilled for their players, because they've suffered through an awful lot, and if they're competitive or maybe even a little bit better than that for a while, it's only just rewards. So Awesome.
Speaking of suffering player bases, next up we have Kudaka, Mantis Clan Air Shugenja, or neutral Air Shugenja, with the Mantis Clan trait. She is a 4-cost, 3 military, 4 politics, 1 glory, reaction. After you claim the Air Ring, gain 1 fate and draw 1 card, limit twice per round. Baz, what are your thoughts on Kudaka?
Yeah, definitely mixed. I'm not quite sure I'm not quite sure what I think about the character yet. If it was a 3-cost, 3/4 that came into play and gave you a card, that would probably be good. I think that would be a strong card, which might be what Kudaka is. I mean, you'll get that if you just win 1 air conflict. And at a 4-cost, you're probably going to try to put a bit of fate on her. So you'll have multiple turns. Then there's lots of opportunity for some clans to win multiple air conflicts in the same turn. There's a lot of tricks that the Phoenix, for example, have, or you can splash them in without too much of an issue, which means you can activate that twice per round. So I mean, a character that was 2-cost for 3/4, where you drew 2 cards, that would be absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of raw potential in this particular character. Shugenja trait, obviously going to support a lot of the cards out of this cycle, which is probably a good thing. Probably helps round out a couple of clans where they don't have enough Shugenja already themselves. We know that the Secret of Knowledge is an option for it. I know there was some confusion over that, but yeah, it is a excellent card. Depending on how your deck is set up is going to vary on the strength of that. But she's definitely going to see play. I look forward to more Mantis.
Any other thoughts on Kudaka?
She's value.
Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, if the Air Ring was, gain 1 honor, or like take 1 honor from your opponent, gain a fate and draw a card, that would be the most contested ring by a country mile every single turn. And that's what she turns the Air Ring into. So she's incredible. I think we'll be coming back to her maybe next week when we talk about the Earth Pack. Because sorry, I'm not ahead of myself. She's amazing, but we'll talk about her more next week, because I think she's going to be I think she's actually going to be a key part if Blitz archetypes do become a thing. I think she'll be a key part in those. So
okay. So jumping over to the conflict side, next up we've got Formal Invitation, which is a crane attachment, which is free, and +0 military, +1 politics, attached to a character with glory 2 or higher. During a political conflict, move the attached character to the conflict with a 3 influence cost. Owen, what are your thoughts on this Formal Invitation? Will you be accepting it?
Well, you know who you can't give a formal invitation to? Guest of honor. Probably for a good reason. You need to do a little bit of work before you can get guest of honor. That 2 glory that is required to merit an invitation, at which point your opponent's life is hard, because, hey, guest is going to be showing up to 2 conflicts a turn. I bet you like playing cards. Well, you're not anymore. The other use, of course, for this is to throw up in one of your opponent's guys, which you can, of course, activate less reliably and just basically haul you into this conflict. Now, it's a political conflict, so you'll need to do some shenanigans to be able to, if you want to do something like fall and battle them. But even just having the ability to go, you know what you're showing up to? A political conflict that the Crane are already winning. Get in here. And that's significant. So it is Harpoon. It is some maneuverability, which is always nice. And it's free. So I think this will see a fair amount of play. In some matchups, it's going to be less handy. Crane, Glory 2 is not a given with the Crane. A number of key Crane have Glory 1. But you can use it as mobility if you need it for that. If you can get your Guest of Honor up to 2 glory, happy days. if you see someone in the thing, you're like, well, I don't want you showing up to a conflict where you're going to start winning, so I'm just going to pull you in here, and now you're in this conflict with me, and you're probably still going to lose. And yeah, it's very flexible, very strong. So I expect this will see a bit of play.
Yeah. Just any further thoughts? Do you think this will be splashed by others? Obviously, a hefty influence cost of 3.
I honest to God, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. Like the influence cost of 3 is pretty hefty, but it is a 0 cost attached with a stat bonus and a really powerful ability. So it very well may. It very well may, but there's nothing that springs to mind immediately. I can't immediately think of a deck that would desperately want this. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Like Crane already have quite a bit of harpoon, so this gives them more. And generally, with mechanics like that, the more you have, the better it is. So we'll see if it sees play outside Crane, but I would definitely expect it to see play in Crane.
All right. Keeping it moving, we've next got the Mirror's Gaze, which is a 2-cost attachment with +0/+1. It is a spell and air attached to a Shigenja character you control. Reaction: after the effects of an opponent's event resolves, resolve that event again as if you had just played it, ignoring costs and triggering conditions. You may choose new targets. Justin, you're shaking your head. Are you thinking of the joys of splashing this into Phoenix with your new toy?
No. Where to even begin with how awful this card is on just about every level. It is like there are badly designed cards and there are badly designed cards, and this is the mother load. This is the absolute mother load.
It's worth just showing people the already existing list of rulings on this card, which is substantial.
Take a look at the rulings already on this card. Like this is the judge breaker. This card is the judge straight up.
Is this the developers saying Jigaku, no, you can't have our game anymore?
Yeah, it's just a gigantic fuck you to online developers. It really is. But I mean, on the upside, this card is probably never going to see play. So there's that. Okay, so let's get to it. It is a 2-fate attachment. 2-fate attachments are generally terrible because like Let Go is still a fairly ubiquitous card. Maya Mystics are seeing a lot of play in the current environment. So a 2-fate attachment needs to be ridiculously good and have almost immediate impact on the game if it's going to do anything. I'm really not so sure. So that's strike 1. +0/+1, whatever. For 2-fate, it would want to do more than that, but it doesn't. Spell air. Grand, okay, fine, attached to a Shigenja, so it's already quite severely restricted in terms of the clans that can reliably and comfortably play it. And then we hit the reaction, which is just like players of old 5R might remember Roger Jean Sorolla, who was the rules guy. And I think he might actually have an aneurysm if he read this card, because it contains all his least favorite phrases. As if, I think, is just one of the worst phrases in any kind of card design, because it's an incredibly fuzzy term that really doesn't define itself well, doesn't define its parameters well, and opens up every kind of possible misinterpretation. So anyway, to the effects of an opponent's event resolve, all good. Resolve that event again as if you had just played it, ignoring costs and triggering conditions. You may choose new targets. So this card is incredibly expensive, restrictive. It's using some of the worst possible words you can use in a card in a card game to describe an ability, such as if, and then on top of it, it ignores costs and triggering conditions, which you basically need a PhD in L5R rules to understand and explain. You may choose new targets. Well, that's fair enough. Otherwise, the card would be unplayable. But it's an incredibly expensive, unbelievably Byzantine, complicated, ruinous card for judges that really doesn't achieve an awful lot, even when it's played. So I hate this card on every level. There we go. That's my review.
Baz, as someone who's judged quite a few events, looking forward to this and the inevitable questions.
So I know some of the judges have already talked about just compiling a list of the cards that it works for and doesn't work for, which is easier than trying to work out the full explanation why and then try actually explain it to someone. Yeah, I mean, we're currently not expecting this card to see play, but I think if you're going to be playing events in your deck, you probably should have a quick look through to see which ones are impacted by this card, just in case in the first or second round your opponent does drop one of these, and you have to, you have to either tell them no, that doesn't work, or yeah, okay, go ahead, that particular card will work. Yeah, I've heard the Jigoku guys are having to rebuild the basic structure of the game from scratch to be able to accommodate it in.
Just ban the card. Just ban the card on Jigoku. Just do it.
maybe that'd be the simplest version. I mean, I can see where they're going. Like, ignoring all that and just looking at the card itself, I think it's trying to get as close to the illustrious plagiarist as it can, but without the surprise factor, because obviously the plagiarist is a dynasty card that comes in, and then you have a bit of a window often to try drop another event onto your discard pile before you'll actually get to use the ability. Whereas if it was just coming from hand, it would be a complete surprise factor. They'd bonsai, you drop this, and all of a sudden you've got your surprise bonsai. But because it's a reaction, like, it's there, it's on the table, your opponent knows what's going to happen. The plagiarist often dissuades people from playing cards or adjusts how they're going to do things. So even if you do play this, it's going to be a poor version of a Guest of Honor at best. And I know a poor version of Guest of Honor is still amazing for most people, but with so many limitations and the fact that it isn't going to work for every event, like it doesn't work for any of the cancels for a start. It's too limited for play, even if you fully understood how it worked.
All right. Owen, anything to add on the Mirror's Gaze?
It's awful. You could just have redone Illustrious Plagiarist and then release it and be like, okay, well, it works the same as that one. And we could have it talked about. Is it worth the 2 fake cost? It's just terrible. It's just not a good idea. It's just a weird esoteric effect that's just complicated and upsetting to any right-minded person, and you'll have 5 or 6 questions about this every tournament, no matter how big the tournament is, because somebody will play it, even if it's just for the lulz. Yeah.
Just to test the judges, or
just to annoy the judges, and then complain about the judges not understanding every intricacy of this one.
Yeah. In fact, the only thing that could make this card better was if it was 1 influence, so it'd be super easy to splash, just to troll judges. That would be the only thing that could make this better, and by better I mean worse.
All right, let's move on. We've got Ancient Master, a 1/1 for 1, 2 glory, tattooed monk with 1 influence cost. You may play this character as an attachment with the text reaction. After an attached character is declared as an attacker or a defender, search the top 5 cards of your conflict deck for a keyhole or tattoo card, reveal it and add it to your hand. Shuffle. Baz looks good in almost every way. It's a 1/1 conflict card. It's got great ability.
It's got two glory, which is actually massive. The fact that you finish your last conflict, you see that your opponent's winning the Imperial favor. You play this, have an extra 2 glory unbowed, and all of a sudden you snag the favor. Like that alone is amazing. And yeah, a 1 cost 1/1 conflict character is always great. We've seen that again and again and again. So I mean, it's the monk trait, which keys off a couple of things. It has the option of play as an attachment, which is always good. The ability itself currently isn't great. So reaction, essentially after you assign, look at the top 5 cards, and if you get a key or tattoo card, reveal it, add it to your hand. And this is a right now. Like, we're fully expecting there to be more cards and more options, and as they come in, this ability will become more and more powerful. It's all around. It's an absolutely great card. I mean, the decision really is whether you're going to be playing it as a conflict character or as the attachment. And I fully expect at the end of the elemental cycle that you will be playing it as an attachment half the time, and it'll draw into a ton of good stuff. It works great on the tower. That is the kind of classic strategy for Dragon, but it also provides a little bit more flexibility. Gives them that extra character when they need it. Absolutely love it. Expecting it to be a staple. And at only 1 influence, anyone else could splash it. So there are certainly options there.
Owen, Justin, either of you like to weigh in on the Ancient Master?
He's amazing. I suppose he's like some kind of amalgam of Seeker Initiate and Shrine Maiden. So on that basis alone, if you can compare a card to Shrine Maiden, then you're already in a good place. And like as more key two cards come out, he just gets better and better and better. The Two Glory, as Baz was saying, is incredible. And Dragon Phoenix, like a Dragon / Phoenix monk deck looks just like a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to that as an archetype after this expansion, hopefully.
And that Phoenix Splash Dragon deck isn't too far off either.
I think it's going to be way way worse. I think
it needs a few more months,
Dragon.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think even from the point of view, like the Dragon deck has all the essential bits and pieces. The Phoenix deck has to import way too much from the Dragon to try and make it work. Whereas the Dragon get to, like, they have almost all the pieces already, and they get to bring in like the additional pieces like Shrine Maiden that really make it hum. So it could be awesome. Like, I mean, although like there could be a support of the Phoenix deck there. There could be like using Path of Man. Oh, that's maybe going a bit too far, but yeah, I mean, a Dragon Phoenix deck that splashes an absolute ton of Phoenix cards could be really interesting. So.
Okay, so one of those keyhoes might be Hurricane Punch. Baz, this is a 0-cost event, an air keyhoe. Action during a conflict, choose a participating monk. That character gets +2 military until the end of the conflict. Draw a card. Are you a fan of the Hurricane Punch?
It's an absolutely amazing card. Bonsai is considered, one of the kind of top cards that's never going to go out of fashion. This essentially is a bonsai because you're getting your +2 military and then you're getting something else because you're drawing into an extra card. Getting an extra 2 military off another card isn't a big deal, and that's what Hurricane Punch does. I mean, Hurricane Punch into another Hurricane Punch, or even into a Fine Catan or something like that, and it's a bonsai, but without the 1 point honor loss, and you're also reducing your deck size slightly, which is a negligible effect, but is still important. I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful centerpiece of the monk decks. And I'm super excited to getting a few games of it.
Cool. Owen, Hurricane Punch, what are your thoughts?
I like the art a lot. It looks good. It's one of those... It's a piece of a bigger puzzle. Once the monk deck solidifies, it's going to be absolutely be a card someone plays, and everyone goes, uh-oh. More stuff's coming, because hey, any card like that's effectively free once you've got the monk stuff sorted out, really strong, or just really good, and particularly if there's a way to recycle it, as is rumored.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then next up we've got another card we previewed, so we've spoken about a bit, which is Even the Odds. Baz, again, since you weren't here that time, maybe you'd like to offer a viewpoint on Even the Odds. It's a 0-cost event and a tactic for Lion Clan. Action during the conflict, if you control fewer participating characters than your opponent, choose a character you control and move that character to the conflict. If it's a commander, honor it, and this is also 2 influence.
I actually find it a little bit surprising, just to move away from the line briefly, that this seems to work so well with Shono, who is a commander and would get honored up for that to glory. Obviously, I'm not so sure if this is something that the Unicorn would be looking to play, because it'd definitely be doubling down. But yeah, so if you've got fewer participating characters, not particularly hard to set up. When you're on the attack, obviously your opponent gets to decide the number of defenders. But with line, a lot of the guys tend to be a little bit smaller. And if they're not defending with a lot of characters, you're probably winning the military conflict anyway. It is super easy to set up on the defense if you want, but you're doing that by not assigning. So, is that really worth it? I know you guys talked about the commander options that are already there. So I think there was 3 commanders, of which one was the Honor General, which was already honoring up. So yeah, I think it's a really, really good card. I love the concept. I love the idea. It's free, move someone in, honors, if you have the right trait. But I'm not sure if it's going to see much play. It feels kind of, in many ways, reactive. That you're expecting to get sent home, or for some other reason. So yeah, I mean, I like the card, but I'm not expecting it to get much work done initially. But there might be archetypes in the future.
All right. So next up, we've got Maze of Illusion. So,
no, you skipped one.
Oh, just Winds of Change. Just put it in the wrong order. Winds of Change. So, Justin, this is a 0-cost event. It's an air spell for air roll only. Action during action, return the air ring from a claimed pool to the unclaimed pool, and it's 1 influence. So, obviously not accessible at the moment with the air roll restriction. But what are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's the kind of card, like if it does see play, it will see play probably in some kind of Phoenix deck. That it'll see play in a Cuteness Sour Phoenix deck with Kudaka, and this will be part of an engine for fate generation card draw. I mean, the other minor effects it can have: if your opponent claims the air ring, you can take it out of their claimed ring pool, which will drop their glory count for the Imperial favor by 1 for the turn, which is potentially good. If you want to resolve the air ring yourself multiple times per turn, you can claim it, put it out again, and try to claim it again. Yeah, obviously, apart from that, I think the only air roll is Crane. Is that right?
Yeah.
So they really have no use for this at the moment whatsoever. It's a bit of a non-bow with the Foo Suey Disciple. I don't think they have really any other interactions. So yeah, it's a card that, again, it'll go into binders. It might see play at some point down the road. But yeah, for now, yeah, it's just going to sit in binders.
So would it be tempting enough for you if you were the one making the roll decision at Worlds?
This card? Oh God, no. Why would you not pick Fire or Void? Like, would you pick Air on the basis of this? I would hold up Feast or Famine, Kurai Mori, and this card beside each other, and then I would crumple this into a small ball, throw it away, and pick something way, way better.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe the lockedness of roll cards is a topic for another day, because I know it's been something that's been spoken about a lot.
Definitely, yeah.
We're on to...
I will say one thing about this, really briefly.
Yeah, go for it.
Only interesting thing it does is that it allows you, if someone has managed to lock out the rings, so there aren't enough rings left to make challenges, you can pop an air ring back in so that you can make a challenge. That's the only interesting thing about this card.
Which is relevant with the new line Stronghold.
Yeah, with the new line Stronghold. Like, no one's going to play it because no one can play it. But similar effect like this, if there was a fire version of this, or a water version of this, it could be relevant.
Yeah, it does look like
it was on a good ring. Then...
Yeah, it does look like the kind of card that they could have just copy paste into each of the packs. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see one of these for each of them.
All right, and then
All Phoenix cards.
yeah, our final card of Breath of the Kami is Maze of Illusion. It's a Scorpion air and spell. It's a 1 fate cost event. Action: during a conflict, choose a participating character controlled by an opponent. Secretly select a number on your honor dial. Then the chosen character's controller guesses whether the number is even or odd. Reveal your dial. Cannot be modified. If they are wrong, bow and dishonor that character with the 2 influence cost. Owen, Maze of Illusion. Are you confused? Or is
You're
it crystal
going
clear?
into the Phantom Zone potentially if they play this card in you. Look, this card has generated almost the most discussion of any spoiled card because there's huge arguments over, hey, this is random versus, hey, it's not. You can outthink your opponent. And it is actually fairly random whether it works or not, but it's actually powerful even when it doesn't work. When this card works, it is a potentially horrendous blowout. If you're playing Scorpion and you bid low, and at the start of your turn you bid 1, and your opponent goes, okay, and then you play this card and you go, okay, odd or even, and you may be guessing 4 or 5 at this stage. And they go, okay, they pick wrong. It bows your guy, dishonors your guy. Your troubles are not over because now he's in a position where he can play I can swim on you because all of a sudden his dial is now higher than your dial. There are horrendous blowouts that this card enables. And if we were looking at Sawona again, if you could get this card working, like you can't get it to work consistently, but if you get lucky with this card, it's just horrible because that effect is Muramoto's Fury plus Way of the Scorpion stapled together, and that's crazy. So this is half of a Fate Worse Than Death, and we know a Fate Worse Than Death is worth playing. So if you pull this off, it's brutal. If you don't, you are probably paying other cards that can take advantage of having a higher bid than your opponent. Because with this card, you probably want to initially bid low, so your opponent is forced into bidding low as well, and you hopefully get trapped in a spiral where you're both bidding 1. And then when you need to, you suddenly accelerate up to a bid of 4 or 5, and you're higher than your opponent, and you start being able to play certain cards. It's potentially brutal. It also potentially doesn't work, and it just gives you the higher bid, so you can utilize it for other stuff, which is okay. But it is sort of random in that it is random, but incredibly frustrating for opponents. So yeah,
Right.
Nasty card, very playable, nasty card.
Justin, what are your thoughts on this sort of approach to card design? It's obviously a sort of mechanic we haven't seen before. As Owen says, potentially quite swingy, but very strong effect.
Yeah, it's an incredibly it's an incredible feel bad card. Like if you're on the receiving end of this and you guess wrong and your opponent gets to bow one of your guys, dishonor them. I could absolutely see this putting people on tilt. Especially like if you get hit by this twice, like if like a Scorpion player plays a second one, or a Phoenix player, laughingly recycles it through Q Nasawa, then I could see some players completely losing their shit over this card. It's a feel bad card. The punishment for getting it wrong is so incredibly harsh. The punishment for guessing right for the person who plays it is also pretty high. So it's one of those cards where I do kind of wish that the penalty for losing was not nearly as severe, and that there was something that happened even if you did, or depending on the guess, like that the guess modified an effect, making it slightly better if your opponent guesses wrong and slightly worse if they guess right. As it is, it's a huge swing card. It's got really little but feel bad potential, and you combo it with Iwona, and people are just going to flip tables when this resolves sometimes. So I'm not a fan. I don't think it's the flaming clusterfuck that the Mirror's Gaze is. But yeah, it's not the kind of effect you really want to see in a game. Hugely punishing, and yeah, like the dial shenanigans as well. Yeah, not a huge fan of this card. I mean, it's incredibly powerful. I guarantee this will see play, yeah, but not a good card.
Do you think this will see a lot of play in Phoenix?
Yep. I can see. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, like, if you've got a one on the table, there is zero downside to this card, and the upside is just horrifying for really to contemplate for most people. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the thing is, like, if they're attacking you with a single character, then you just go, well, I'll Maze of Illusion. Did I get it right? Way I bad and Dishonored you. Did I get it wrong? Way I just bow you. There's really no lose in this. So it's stupendously powerful out of Phoenix. So yeah, I could honest to God see like a lot of Phoenix decks just going, yeah, don't need to play Dragon anymore. We'll just play this. So it's a worrying card.
Baz, I see John in chat has said this is one of those cards where the guy who wins an event had this successfully resolve every time, but never realized that that's why he won the event.
No, clearly he was just a superior player. That's how this game works.
Agree with that?
I certainly could see it happen. And for me, I've always had the perception that the top excellent players are the ones that play consistent decks that have the potential to do fantastic things. If you're in a poor situation in the meta and your clan isn't doing great, or whatever your faction is, there's always the option to play super swingy cards that basically give you a shot of just winning randomly, 20% of the time, but 80% of the time will just do nothing. And I kind of feel that's where this is at, because you're paying one fate and you're losing a card and it might do nothing. So that doesn't feel consistent to me. I know it's got a better effect than Mirror's Fury because you're dishonoring, but you've kind of got to evaluate whether the bonus effect is going to be worthwhile a lot of the time. If you're looking to do that point of dishonor, sure, yeah, definitely. Or if the character is going to be sticking around subsequent turns and got decent glory, yeah. But a lot of times you're just bowing a character to make sure that you don't lose that province, or just to win a battle. So, the double effect may not be as relevant as often as many people would like to hope. Now, if your real interest with this card is to set up your bid dial and you've got some bid shenanigans that you want to play into, then that could be very effective. Good Omen is a classic example of it. Good Omen is never played because you're never able to set the bid dial correctly in a consistent way. But with Maze of Illusions, you're able to. Yeah, I said Good Omen, which is a crazy situation. But a card like this opens up that as an option. So if you're playing Maze of Illusion and you're playing Good Omen, even if the effect doesn't resolve, you're down one fate and two cards, but you've managed to put an extra fate on one of your big characters, which is obviously depending on the character, but a lot of the time has massive value beyond just the one extra fate that happens. But you need to be playing into that. I think for Maze of Illusion to be worthwhile to be included in the deck, you need to win even when you lose that 50-50 chance. If you're just going to put it into the deck and hope to get the right guess every time, no, I don't like it at all. So yeah. It will require some work.
Okay. All right. So that wraps up Breath of the Kami. Maybe just to sort of review a little bit, as a whole, what do we think of this pack? Is this going to move the meta on quite a bit? Any I guess, particular highlight cards for you, Owen? You know, what you think is going to be still played from this in 6 months or a year's time?
Uona, Maze of Illusion, Shitome Encampment. They're all my pretty reliable picks.
Shinjo Shona, maybe?
Yeah, Shona probably. But unless they get restricted or something, and they're probably the big candidates to get restricted. I like that about 8 of the cards in the cycle are in some way air related. To do with honor, or directly have the air trait, or do more stuff there. So that's nice.
Yep.
So about half of them are kind of appropriate, tied in with the thematic element. So that's nice. Yeah. Pretty powerful pack. Really, pretty powerful pack. There's a lot of really high end cards in here, and then a bunch of cards you're going to see some play because the card pool's still small. So that's fine.
Baz, for you, who are the winners and the losers from this pack?
Well, definitely Unicorn, and between Shona and the Encampment, it's a fantastic start off to the new cycle, and hopefully we'll see that every pack throughout the entire cycle. Obviously, there's a Stronghold in it for line, so it's absolutely worth their while picking it up. And I'm super excited about all of the dragon cards in this. So the Master, the Hurricane Punch, and Sacred Sanctuary. I don't think you're going to have a fantastic deck coming out of just this. But it's a kick-ass start into the cycle, and by the end of it, I think all those cards are going to be, in every Dragon deck from there on out. But yeah, obviously Asao Uno I think is absolutely amazing. I do quite like Formal Invitation as well in Crane. I'm not the. I have to admit, Owen has turned me around a little bit on the third Tower Guard. So maybe that will be worthwhile picking up for Crab, and I'm not convinced by the Scorpion cards yet, even though I expect to see lots of people testing Maze of Illusion to see where it's going.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably all the glance.
Yeah, Justin, for you, highlights from the pack, thoughts on the theme?
I think, to be honest, I think almost every clan got something. Lion got a Stronghold, Dragon got a whole bunch of stuff for monks, which is awesome to see. Crab got a 1-drop, which is, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's something they really desperately needed, so we'll see how that pans out. Crane, I suppose Crane got Formal Invitation. Lion, they got the Stronghold. Phoenix got a Wona and Maze of Illusion by proxy. I think the Shadow Shaper actually is really good for Scorpion. I really like that card. I think that's a card that has a lot of legs to it, and I think it could see a lot of play in the future. Obviously, Unicorn did fantastically well. Kodaka is really good. It's a powerful pack. There's a lot of really, really significant stuff in this. And some of the cards, like I think Kodaka is a bit of a sleeper for now. She's good, but I think after the next pack, we'll begin to see how she might start to fit into a new environment and be a significant part of it. So lots of stuff for everybody. Very high powered pack. The game is getting faster.
Excellent. All right, so that leaves but one thing, Owen, and that means Beaver Facts.
Absolutely. Giardiasis, more commonly known as beaver fever, is a parasitic disease which consists of the parasitic life form Giardia lambia, which is commonly found in cysts inside beaver intestines. So when the beavers poop in the water, it spreads that way and then affects people. So that is what beaver fever is. Like other things spread beaver fever, and the beavers do not cause it. They just carry it, much in the same way black rats don't cause the Black Death, but they carry the fleas that do. So yeah, watch out for beaver fever.
Just beaver fever is worth saying. Just
Absolutely.
to say beaver fever, I could. Excellent. Yeah, I won't go into the innuendo opportunities either. Justin has the most horrifying.
No, Jack, I do not. I do not like the beaver fever, Jack. That sounds awful. But it would make a fantastic more logo. I can see our new t-shirts.
Have you got beaver fever? Listen to Imperial Advisor every other Monday at 8. All right. Thanks to the guys for doing an extra shift on the show. I think we'll probably be back next week if there are cards, which there may or may not be. So that we'll play it by ear. If we've got a full patch review, we will do that. We may not, because it seems like there's maybe been a bit of a lull of spoilers, but we'll see how that goes. And thanks to all the guys in chat. There's a bunch of the regulars, to Jack and John and Sodomatic and Gordo and Cyril and all the other people who were chatting
So
earlier.
many.
And Neil was in earlier, and yeah, loads of people. Thank you all the people who I haven't mentioned as well. Really appreciate it, and thanks for sticking with us. It was a mere 1 hour 50, so we kept it under 2 hours, so that's not too bad.
Good for
yeah,
us.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we might have Andy as well back next time around. Yeah, so we will be back soon, and thanks for listening. Bye.
Take it easy, everybody. All the best.